All right, look, a lot to do here today, and let's get at it at 215-592-9494. So you guys know I don't believe a name is a word. Like, I don't think Chris is a word. I think it's a name, and I don't think Sims is a word. I think it's a name. But I will say this. If we were to go under the assumption that many in society do that names are, in fact, words.
It's a noun.
Yeah, but it ain't a name.
It's a proper noun.
But here's the problem.
Which means it's a word.
If I'm going to go with that ridiculous thought, I'm going to tell you the 5 dirtiest words in all of human existence. Chris Sims has a point.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Chris Sims has a point.
Nope.
Now I want to...
In which conversation?
I want to play... And look, guys, I know we hate to face it. I mean, we hate it. It's like looking in the mirror as a teenager and you got a bunch of pimples on your face. You just don't enjoy looking at it, you know? I mean, Seltzer, you were there, right? You were there.
Not really.
No,
it wasn't too bad for me.
Good for you. But you know what I mean? There's some things in life you don't like. You don't like to face.
I never had it bad. Like everyone would get zits, but I never had like outbreaks.
Oh,
I never had
for
it
you.
bad. Yeah,
I was
lucky.
hard.
I was really lucky.
It was tough for you, John?
Well, I was so self-conscious. You know, when you have one, you feel like the whole world's staring at you. And with the like Jimmy, I would have assumed
so
with the
that
chin strap.
That was my issue. I was fat. Was my problem.
Yeah, but okay, but to be
Learning a
fair,
lot.
you were an athlete. You're playing D-line. You're playing O-line. You got the chin strap. You got the forehead pads. It makes you break out.
That's true. You would get a little.
A lot
bit
of guys
that,
get
yeah.
a lot of it on their backs. You know, it's ugh.
Look,
it's hard to avoid it.
Well, all right. So we just went down a road I
It was
wasn't
unexpected.
expecting.
Yeah.
But here's the point. There are some things in life. I guess that was an analogy that kind of worked. There are some things in life you just don't like to look at about yourself. And the reality is that I think it's a tough reality for us, but one that we might need to face here. And I'm curious if you agree or disagree at 215-592-9494 that Chris Sims, look, not with everything he has said. And by the way, we're going to play the audio of the most recent thing from just a couple days ago on Jalen Hurts. Certainly he has said some things that are ridiculous. Certainly he has gone too far at times. Certainly what we're about to play for you, I think, does not fully capture facts, because I think even in this piece, Chris Sims goes too far. But he has been critical of Hurts. We now, many of us, have become critical of Hurts. Again, maybe not to the same savage degree as he. And I do actually think Chris Sims is a clown. I want to go no further before saying that. I think the guy's a clown. Like, I think Phil Sims should be ashamed that he's his son as a commentator, because I think Chris Sims is in clown territory, which a lot of people on a national level are, and it's a shame. But I will say this. He's been telling us that Jalen Hurts ain't that great. And now he tells us overrated. Listen to what Chris Sims said just the other day.
Jalen Hurts I respect a lot about Jalen Hurts, but I think Jalen Hurts is also like the most overrated player in football. All right, that's me. I know I'm wrong. I take a lot of crap about that comment, but he plays quarterback for a team that's an all-star team. Yeah. They have the best O-line in football. It's not even close, right? They got maybe the best duos at receiver in all of football, right? I just think if you put some other quarterbacks in Philly, you put Kyler Murray there, you'd go, damn, Kyler's amazing. Is he the MVP of football? And I think we lose sight of all of that a little bit. Again, it gets into the quarterback team thing, where right now we're all about the quarterback. And, he'd be one of those guys that I certainly would go, hey, when Kyler's on his game, he is every bit in the class of Jalen Hurts,
All right,
in my opinion.
Here's the thing.
Does
he go too far?
Yes.
Yeah, he goes, yes.
This is crazy.
Yes,
Hey, by the way,
does he kind of have a point?
he just said, I know I'm wrong. Did you hear that? At the beginning of it, he said, I know I'm wrong. What is he doing? He's just throwing this out there, even though he knows he's wrong? Did you hear that?
Also, by the way, the Eagles do not have the best offensive line by a lot in the NFL anymore. Like, that is a tired thing. Like, watch football, man. The Eagles' offensive line was not the best in the league this year.
But it's still pretty darn good.
It's good, but he said best in the league
I agree.
by a mile is what he said.
I agree, James.
It is unfair what he's doing. He's punishing Jalen for the greatness of the O-line. He's punishing Jalen for the greatness of the wide receivers. It does get tired. It does feel commonplace.
Here's the deal.
Also,
what we
coaching
hear from this
pretty
guy
important
all the time.
too, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Here's the
Jalen
deal.
wasn't taught enough in the 2023 season to look like he was supposed to look. Jalen is not overrated. Jalen is still elite. He's still the same guy who swung and went toe-to-toe with Pat Mahomes a year ago. Pat Mahomes, who is so celebrated with great reason.
Yep.
He was neck and neck with our guy one year ago.
For what it's worth, Carson was neck and neck with Tom Brady in a regular season, and then Tom Brady kept playing, and Carson was done.
Okay.
So it happens.
Tore his knee up, but he couldn't LCL, PCL, and broke his back.
But James,
man.
Carson couldn't read defenses. See, that was the dirty little secret that a lot of people didn't know at first, and then we saw it. He didn't know, hey, let me just take the check down. He didn't.
And Jalen wasn't taught enough in the 2023 season, and we watched it play out. I believe that he needed more information to work with, a better plan every time he came up to the line of scrimmage, and he didn't get it. Defenses took advantage of the rudimentary pass protection system, and the Eagles, they've done nothing about it. Like during the season, it was just Jalen, go find a way.
Yeah, it was a disastrous
Run
approach.
And find a way. And that was a broken approach, if you ask me. Now the Eagles have done something about it. We've got Kellen Moore, a new offensive coordinator who has had a lot of success against the blitz. He will have a blitz plan, and I'm excited to see that. I think Jalen's season last year, the disappointment that we feel, it stems more than anything from the turnovers. I think the thing we all took for granted about Jalen was how protective he was of the football, how smart he was with the football. The decisions that he made, not just with the pull read, whether he should hand it off or throw it or, keep it himself or have the running back take it. It was every little thing downfield, not putting the ball in harm's way. He had 9 fumbles each of the last 2 years. Last year, he lost 5. The year before that, he lost 3. That right there is circumstantial. That right there is the guys out there on the field, his teammates at the time. How were their reactions? Jumping on a loose ball that's on the field. That could have changed the game. I felt like this season there were several games that the outcome was decided because of Jalen's fumbles. His poor decision making,
no question.
The fumbles it was unfortunate. He looked young. He made some mistakes. That doesn't mean he's not elite. He played inconsistent football last year. I think Jalen needs to humble himself to some. I think every NFL player needs to humble himself every offseason to know that he needs to get back to the drawing board and get to work. Jalen needs to humble himself and talk with Kellen Moore and say, listen, I need every ounce of football knowledge in your cranium. Let's get to work. Fill my brain up, coach. Let's go get a plan to beat the blitz.
Well, clearly they got to do that, and I'm curious where everyone stands at 215-592-9494. I'm going to ask this question, and I really am curious where you come down if you're able to weigh in today on the phone lines. Doesn't Chris Sims kind of have a point? Now, notice I'm saying kind of. Notice I'm saying kind of. I'm not saying doesn't he have a point, because I think he veers off, and I think Chris Sims is a clown, and I think Chris Sims gets things wrong. But at the fundamental level, what he has been saying, what he said again the other day, is that Jalen Hurts is overrated. Do I think he's the most overrated player in football? I don't know, and probably
overrated player in football,
and probably not. Look, I don't know every player in football. I have no idea. Here's what I do know. You ready for this? We overrated him. Whether you want to look in that mirror or not, guys, that's a fact. Okay? We overrated him.
So you think this contract is overpaying Jalen?
Well, based on what he gave him the last year, of course.
Isn't it possible that he rebounds from what? Like you're acting like he had one down year, and it's like that's who he is. He's done.
Hold on,
it's
James.
Imperative and it's probable, and like I would take my money to the bank on the fact that he's going to make it a vendetta.
James,
to be better this
two
year.
questions for you. You're coming in hot today. 2 questions.
Sure am.
Is Jalen Hurts a top 3 quarterback in the NFL?
No, not right this second.
Question
Do I
2.
think he could be this year? Absolutely.
Question 2. Did we think Jalen Hurts was a top 3 quarterback?
Yeah, we overreacted off one season, but at the same time,
overrated him.
Okay,
right?
But again, I think that he is a lot closer to top 3 than to what you think he is. I think this year he's going to be
9, 10, or 11.
I think this year he's going to look like a top 3 quarterback again because I think it was one down year that you were completely overrating that kind of went out. And then on top of that, for the first half of the year, he was an MVP frontrunner. Like, Carson Wentz was the worst quarterback in football for a season in 2020.
That's
all right?
No,
so
he's not there yet, clearly, and I hope he never gets there. Let me be clear. I really do. But I'll tell you this. I do think Chris Sims has a point. I do think he loses credibility with how far he takes things at times. I have no idea if Jalen Hurts is the most overrated player in football, and I tend to think he's not. But here's what I know. We did overrate him. Now, whether you want to face that fact or not, that's up to you. I'll hear from you either way at 215-592-9494. Hence my point. Doesn't Chris Sims kind of have a point?
And now you're underrating him for last year because he did underperform. I'll give you that. He underperformed, and I expect that performance to be back a lot better this year. I'm excited to see where this goes because Kellen Moore is a really smart offensive coordinator who's going to give him a concise plan to defeat the blitz, which is what he needs.
You know what I'd say I'm more excited about? Just to find out. Just to find out what he really is and how good he is. And we'll know that over the next 2 to 3 years, and we'll have a good chunk of that in 2024. You know, I am curious to see, with the different tutelage, a different coordinator, what do we really got here? Because clearly
I don't want anyone to lose track of the fact that he is a remarkable quarterback. My gosh.
I don't think he is.
And therein lies the problem.
Yeah. But I did think it. And I think all of us thought it. And I no longer think that. I'm not saying
you no longer think he's a remarkable quarterback. He had a bad year where he did not have a concise plan. There was nothing cohesive. It was not a good unit.
I know.
Our team was bad. The plan was bad. I can't believe you hold it against him the way that you do.
Well, look, we'll see where everyone stands at 215-592-9494. What do you make of the Hurts thing, especially as it relates to what Chris Sims said? Even if he took it too far, do you think Chris Sims has somewhat of a point in there? Your phone calls, 215-592-9494. We're going to get to all the other teams as well. There's a lot going on right now in Philly sports, all of it today.